All right, we'll probably get started here in just a minute. If you want to jump in, if you wanted to talk, if you had any questions for me about the processes or objections or anything that you have going on, just jump on the Google link. There's a Google link in the Facebook group, and you can jump directly into the Google Meet here, and we can chat for about 15 minutes or so. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, I'm talking about why you're losing epoxy jobs and how you can fix it and how to fix it fast. So what's the real reason why you're even losing leads in the first place? First of all, price. This is just something that you got to get right out of the way. You got to get over this. Price usually is not the problem with your customers. If they're going to have any objection, it is going to be price, but that's usually not the end all be all. People have credit cards. People can get loans for their homes. You can finance it. So price is usually not the problems. It can be sometimes, especially if you're looking at a luxury service and they're not your customer. They're looking for a budget thing. Obviously, there are exceptions to this, but if you think that price is solely why you're not getting any jobs booked on your calendar, you're just looking at the wrong problem overall. Those $4 per square foot contractors that are underbidding you, they're not stealing your jobs. The price shoppers that were never serious about hiring you in the first place, those guys were never serious about hiring you in the first place. So you just need to get over it ultimately. And then lowering your price, that's not going to magically make high quality customers come into your world. Your ideal customer, they aren't picking the cheapest option. That's not what they're looking for. And I know that's kind of where your guys' mindset goes. If you think that the $4 per square foot contractor is stealing jobs from you, obviously you're going to think that your customers are picking the cheapest option, but that's not really what's going on there. They're picking the contractor that they trust the most. And sometimes they do lean on their price if they can't really tell a difference in who to trust. Let's put it that way. If there's no difference in their ability to trust you versus the guy that's cheaper, then they're just going to go with the guy that's cheaper. And that's what's ultimately happening in the background. So you can just think about it. Does Ferrari lose sleep over what Toyota is doing and how cheap their cars can be? Nope, not at all, because they're selling to an entirely different customer. The same logic applies to epoxy flooring. If you're doing metallic epoxy floors and you're selling a luxury service, you're selling a different product than garage floor flakes, right? The real reason why these premium clients are hesitating, it's not because of price. It is because they're uncertain. They don't know why your floors are worth more than the guy that's charging $8 for a metallic. They don't know why they should trust you. They don't know what makes your process any different. And if you don't show them this, then no one else is going to show them that. If you just assume that they should know based off of the few things that you're talking about, based off of saying how durable the floors are, all of that is just, it's not really going to help you get anywhere. You need to communicate with these customers. That's what most of sales is going to be, communicating in questions, right? But the thing is that your ideal clients, these premium, high dollar, high ticket people that are ready to buy metallic flooring, they're making decisions based on confidence in your process and your materials. And I think you guys nail that down consistently. You guys are 1000% able to speak to your process and how many gallons per square foot you're pouring, that you're using 100% solids and not a cheap mixture. I know you guys are able to nail that down, but again, that's also not the only thing. They also need to be able to trust that you'll deliver exactly what they're expecting. And I think that might be part of where you guys kind of fall off sometimes, especially when you're selling. I've heard you guys say, hey, this is just like a representation. And the way that you pitch that sometimes might be breaking the trust and their belief that what you're selling them is what they're going to get in the end, right? But they just need to be able to trust that. And then one of the biggest things is perceived value. If your brand looks premium and if you speak premium and you present yourself as premium, they're going to pay premium. It's how do they perceive your business? Do they see you as a Home Depot, or are you like a designer? So the people will pay for that value if they can see it. And like I said, if you speak to that and if you present yourself that way, if you're all over the place and you're disorganized and you're trying to take payments on PayPal while presenting yourself as a luxury brand that's processing probably a lot of money, it throws them for a loop, right? But yeah, in a nutshell, the best epoxy businesses, they're not winning because they're the cheapest in town. They win because they own their value and they communicate it with confidence. if you can't be the cheapest, there's a saying, I think this is from Dan Kennedy. It says, if you can't be the cheapest, then there's no benefit in being almost the cheapest. So if you can't be the cheapest person in town, then you don't even want to try to run that direction. You're going to be stuck losing a ton of your estimates when you go out to see these people. So again, if you can't be the cheapest, there's absolutely no benefit in being the second cheapest. You need to be the cheapest person, and then you'll get all of the customers, right? Like, cool, but is that really what you can do? And if you can't do that, then you need to come up with a different strategy. And if price isn't the problem, then what is the actual problem? It just comes down to how good you can sell. There's a value gap, and that value gap is why clients are hesitating to book jobs with you, not the price. Like, for example, let's say that you send a quote and then that lead goes to you, right? It's not because they found someone that was cheaper per se. Like I said, that might be part of it. I want to be clear on that. That might be part of it, but it's because that they weren't convinced that you were worth the investment at the end of the day. Like, expensive to them, how expensive your quote was, they didn't see the value behind why it was so much more expensive. And a lot of you guys try to berate people with the benefits, how, like I said, like materials, and people don't really care about that. That's the thing. Whenever you're getting that, you're getting the people ghosting you just from your quotes in general after sending out a quote. These people are thinking, hey, is this actually worth the money that these guys are charging? Is this flooring going to last, or am I just going to regret it in a year? Because they see the horror stories out there, right, of failed floors. And then they're asking, can I trust this guy to show up and actually do the job right? So if you're fumbling through the sales process, getting a lead off of social media or something, that's probably one of the bigger ones that I see, is that people start to lose trust in you because you can't even manage a conversation, let alone why are they going to let you come and tear up their house? These people, they're not rejecting you on price. They're, again, rejecting you because of the uncertainty around your price. The second that some kind of doubt creeps in, they're going to stall out. They're going to hesitate. They're going to say they need to think about it. And then they start shopping around, not again for the cheapest quote, but for a contractor who's going to make them feel the most confident in their decision. If the leads are ghosting you, it's because your quote felt like a number and not like a quality exchange. That leads to the lead making an investment in their home. Like I said, that's a big investment. If you're not giving them any breakdown, no value, you're really not giving them any reason to say yes. They also might be ghosting you because you didn't show them what makes you different. If all they see is just epoxy flooring, why wouldn't they go with the cheapest guy? Like, if that's all that they're seeing, why would they not go with the cheapest person, right? Or the other reason why they're ghosting you is because you didn't build trust with them. You just dropped the price. Before you gave them the price, you're not doing anything to like help them see why you're a good contractor, why you're knowledgeable, why they should go with you. Some guys just go straight to dropping the price. As soon as somebody asks, they're just going to be like, yeah, square foot. And then they wonder why they go somewhere else, because there is somebody out there doing it for $4 per square foot. You got to think about, some guys I know are doing poly, and they'll go even lower than $5 per square foot sometimes. So if you're just $6 on the phone and not building any trust in who you are, and not, you're just saying epoxy flooring and I do it for $6 per square foot, like, you're gonna have a lot of trouble now. Let's start with how you communicate, right? You need to start positioning yourself as an actual premium choice. And this is only if you want to present yourself as a premium choice. If you want to be the budget guy, the cheapest in town, all of this is fine. You can do whatever you want to do. Most epoxy contractors, they just end up undervaluing their work at the end of the day. They start trying to compete with the guys that are charging really low, right? And so you end up undercharging out of fear, or you start fearing that you're going to lose jobs to low baller competitors. But the truth is that, like I said earlier, the clients will pay more. You just have to give them a reason to. And so, like I've been talking about, there's this perceived value, right? That is the value that people see. And a lot of it, if you caught some of that, is that it's not just in your product, it's in how you present yourself, right? So why would you pay $10,000 for a watch when you could buy $100 watch that tells time just as well, right? Or what about $100,000 sports car like a Porsche, when you could buy a $10,000 car? There's millions of people that actually do spend a ton of money on premium and luxury products that more than what they ultimately need. It does more than get the job done, right? So what is that stuff? What is that driving factor? It's not that they're just buying a watch. It's not that they're just buying a car. It's that they're buying status, right? They're either buying some kind of status, some kind of exclusivity, like if you only certain people own this watch, only certain people own this Ferrari, or some people like the craftsmanship. That's why family drives a bunch of Harleys, and they like the craftsmanship of the bikes and the fact that they're made in America. So what we're talking about, it's called the Rolex effect, where a higher price, when something has a higher price tag, that higher price in itself actually reinforces the idea of superior value. Like luxury car like a Ferrari or like Porsche is not going to be $5,000, right? So like price, it just reinforces the fact that it is a luxury service. So you might be shooting yourself in the foot when you start going too low, is essentially what you want to take away from this, right? The same thing can happen when you're dealing with epoxy flooring. The clients, they don't just want a floor, and they don't necessarily just want the cheapest floor. And like I said, I know you guys probably are in that mindset a lot of the time, where you think that because you see the guys with the $4 per square foot quotes, that's why you're losing. But there's a little bit more that you might not see that's going on there, because again, I've never gone out anywhere and been like, I want the cheapest floor I can get. If I'm going to put epoxy in my garage, I want to get the best stuff that I can, where I'm not going to have to worry about it, right? So I don't go out seeking like cheapest stuff. There might be some people that do this, but again, maybe these people aren't your customer, and that's something you just need to think about, right? But good clients and premium clients, they want something that looks high end, even if it's a flake job. They want something that's going to last for years, like what did I just say, right? And something that makes their space stand out, to where they're kind of some status there, some exclusivity. If they're the only person with that nice of a floor in their whole neighborhood, you're going to be the talk of the neighborhood. If you compete on price, you're just going to blend in with every other contractor out there that's giving bids. But if you actually can position yourself as that premium choice that delivers those premium results, then you're going to stand out. So how do you make sure that your pricing is actually working for you and not against you? Ultimately, you just need to stop justifying your price. And instead of focusing on price, you need to frame the entire job as an investment. They go with a cheap floor is going to stain, it'll crack, and it'll still need replacing no matter what, right? Eventually, especially with some of these contractors out there. But a premium epoxy floor is going to last over a decade with zero headaches. The thing is that your leads don't know this, right? So you just have to let them know, hey, you're not just paying for a floor when you work with me. You're also paying for 10 plus years of durability, no maintenance, and a finish that makes your space look next level. And you can even throw in stuff like that you offer a warranty if you're offering warranties as well. But you need to shift away from the price and the cost of the floor. And there's a little bit more I'll get into on that. But like I said earlier, your higher prices, these can actually boost conversions. Lower prices don't. They're not going to help you boost your conversion rates, despite what you think, okay? When a client sees a higher price, they're going to assume a higher quality. If you charge $3,500 and your competitor charges $2,000, the clients are going to assume that your materials, process, and results are better at the end of the day. That assumption alone is what will help you win the job. This just needs to be called out. The thing, like I said earlier, communication is what most of you guys are missing. You're not saying any of this stuff to anybody. And you just need to start having conversations when you're on the job site. And then and when you're on that job site, make sure that you make the value of your service obvious and that you're communicating it. Most of you guys are losing deals because you sound like every other person that's going out to these jobs. You're just like, yeah, this is what my price is. Oh, I do the floor and we use the best products. We use the best stuff and we're the best, right? You and everyone else, you guys are all ready to compete by dropping price right away, like I said. And if the clients, if they just think that they're comparing apples to apples, they're going to pick the cheapest option, right? Your job is to actually make it clear why you're different and why you're worth more. People will pay way more if you give them a reason to. How do you go about crafting this value proposition to where you're able to really convey this to your leads? If you want these clients to be able to choose you over the cheapest guy in town, you need to be able to answer this one question: why should they pay more for your service? Out of anybody else, why should they pay more? But you want to make it about them, not about you. So they don't care about your process. They care about your result that they're going to get in the end. So a lot of you guys come out off the gates being like, yeah, use solids and we pour it at this many square feet per gallon, so you're going to get a real good finish. And like, this just sounds like mumbo jumbo to your leads. They don't know who it is. Sally works at the salon, and Jim works at a beef processing plant as a butcher. And so they don't know what 100% solids means, right? But if you say it more like, hey, you're going to get a floor that looks brand new for 10 years. You're not going to have to deal with it. No peeling, no fading, no cracks. That changes the game, and it helps them start to see what those results are going to be in the end, right? So you can sell durability, design, and the long-term benefits, but you want to make sure that when you're doing this, that you're using storytelling to drive the point home, like the durability, the design, or the long-term benefits. The durability and long-term benefits looks like, hey, the storytelling, like them, why going on with that cheaper quote, why they think that quote is so cheap, where are they cutting corners at, right? That's a little bit of storytelling. But then just explain, hey, like I've seen people come and I've had to redo floors a bunch of times. And then the thing is, in this story, other customers, they didn't just pay for the floor one time, they had to pay for it twice. And before you get to this mistake, do you want me to just let you know, as the expert that I am, that we can prevent this from happening if you just get the right job? I am more expensive, but I'm going to make sure that you get the floor done the right way the first time, and that you're not going to have to invest in this a second time, right? That's a way different pitch. That's a way different conversation. And that's going to lead you away. That's going to increase your conversion rate like a lot. So I know a lot of you guys have been having trouble with that one piece right there alone. So I hope that right there helps you guys. But the facts of like how many square foot per gallon that you're pouring the floor, that's forgettable. People aren't going to remember that. I know this stuff because I deal with this stuff all day, right? But your clients, they're not going to know the difference. But these stories, like what I just said, that's going to stick a lot more. And I go over this way more in depth in my review of Alex Hormozi's closer framework video. You can look that up on my YouTube. I'm not going to get into that here today. I've done it a few times. So if you want to learn more about how to actually do that sales process of conveying your value and the value proposition, look up that video and go through the closer framework. Look it up. There's a bunch of other people. You don't have to watch my video on it. There's a bunch of people that can go. It's Alex Hormozi. So he's the guy that came up with it. It's way better, but it's just something that I've used in my business and in other epoxy companies, and it's helped a lot. So yeah, if you're having trouble with closing deals or getting people to understand your value as a contractor, like that you're worth it, and people just don't seem to see that video. The next thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you start building trust before you ever even drop the price, like I was saying earlier, but before price can even become an objection for you in the sales process. Price, it really is only going to become an issue when the client's not trusting you, when they don't see the value, or they think that they can get the exact same thing for cheaper. And I know that you guys know that that's not the case, right? Like there's a cheaper, if somebody is offering it for cheaper than you guys, at least for those of you that are my partners that work with me, I know for sure for you guys that that's not the case, right? they can go and get metallics for cheaper, but that it's not the same thing. So if the client, if your lead, if they believe in you and they trust your work, they will pay more, and they'll do it without hesitation. You just have to actually get through a process of showing them why they shouldn't go with that cheaper option more than anything, if that's really what the objection is, right? But part of this is that people only buy from who they know, like, trust. Before they're ever going to be willing to spend 5 or 10K on floors, they're going to go through a few stages where they need to know that you exist, first of all. So obviously, if your Google presence is weak, if you're invisible online, or if your social media is dead, you're already losing leads. The best epoxy contractors, they're dominating search results. They've got fresh content that they're posting consistently on their Instagram stories, reels, posts, and they're posting stuff on their website and their blogs a lot as well. And then just sharing that everywhere, making sure that different prospects are able to see this. Another thing that is going to happen is that they need to go through a process of liking you, right? Know, like, and trust. So nobody is going to hire a contractor who looks super unreliable or super unprofessional, is rude. If you don't have any social proof, that's not that bad. If you've got no photos, or if it's just really bad photos, it's not that bad either. But these are things that you do need to fix and make sure that your website is up and running and looks like a presentable, professional, reliable company. Your online presence, your reviews, and your brand, it should make clients feel good about choosing you before they ever even pick up the phone to talk to you. Okay, they can see you coming in. These leads are going to be coming in from a lot of different places. If your ads look like crap, if your website looks like crap, if your Google profile looks like crap and has a bunch of bad reviews, that is just not going to help you at all. And there's only so many ways that they're going to be able to like you in that sense, in the sense of being able to know who you are, like you, and trust you. There's only so much that they're going to get. And if you're messing up these key points, man, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. And like I said, the last one there is trust. So trust, it's not built with words, it's built with proof. The clients don't want to just hear like, oh, do great work, we do the best floors, whatever. They want to see it. That means 5-star reviews on your Google profile, seeing before and after photos on Google and on your website and on your social media, videos of your clients that are saying that they're happy with the floors after the job is already done and they're moved back in. Go and make a video with these guys, right? And then case studies is kind of hard for you guys to do. I do this for you guys and help you out with that, but just to kind of some stuff off. But yeah, you guys can be sufficient like that. Build some case studies that show the results of getting epoxy flooring done in like basement versus getting tile done or carpet done. The more proof that you have, the easier that it's going to be to close these deals. If you've got a baller website, your Google reviews are off the chains, you're posting social media content, these guys are going to be like, yeah, of course I'm going to go with these guys. I know they're more expensive, but it looks like I can trust them a little bit better. And I know a lot more about them because they're posting all of this, because they're posting all of this content and everything, right? So trust itself, trust is a deal maker. That's what's going to seal the deal for you. But how you communicate in real time can either really reinforce it or ruin it. So let's get into what that sales conversation looks like. You want to, what is it going to look like to master that first interaction with the lead? Your first conversation with the prospect, either it's going to position you as the expert or it's going to make you sound like every other contractor that's competing on price. So here's how you want to set the tone from the start. You want to lead the conversation. Don't just answer all of their questions. You take charge. You lead the conversation, right? When a prospect calls and they're like, hey, I need a quote for my garage, most guys are going to reply like, oh, okay, I'll come out and take a look. Or yeah, this is my price. Like the wrong move. Just say, hey, just stop and you switch things around. Like before I put together a quote, just let me know what's your vision. What are you looking for? Are you more focused on the durability? Are you looking for the aesthetic in your home? Are you focused on the durability of your garage? Or are you trying to like the home value so that way you can sell your house? You know, just asking these questions alone, like if you hear what I'm saying, it makes it sound like you care a lot more. So this does two powerful things. It shifts the focus from price into value. You know, like, hey, like, let me get a quote. You're like, hey, before I get you that quote and give you the price, what's going on? What are you looking for? What's the value behind it? And it also gets them emotionally invested in that outcome, not just the cost of the quote that they're about to get. The number one mistake that I see epoxy contractors make in an initial conversation is just sounding like an order taker. Most guys show up, they measure the floor, give the price, and then you leave, right? And that's a guaranteed way to lose deals to the cheapest person that's bidding. You don't want to be the cheapest bidder. And if you can't, remember, if you can't be. So instead, you need to position yourself as a professional, not just as some contractor that's going to show up, measure the floor, give a price, and leave. You want to walk them through your process, explain why your materials are going to last longer, and then show them exactly how their floor is going to transform, how their floor will actually transform the entire space. When they can see you as the expert, they're going to trust you a lot more. And then that trust, like I said, that's what's going to win the sale. And confidence is everything. If you sound really unsure about your quote, if you're just like giving them numbers, really is the main thing. They're going to hesitate in the long run. And if you hesitate when you're talking about your price, then they're going to assume that your service really isn't worth it, that you're not confident in your price and why you charge what you charge. So then they're going to question why you charge, right? When you present your pricing, do it like the most natural thing in the world. Like floors are built to last over a decade with zero maintenance. We use 100%. I am so sorry. We use 100% solids, right? And that's not, because we do that, that means that the floor is not going to crack, it's not going to fade, it's not going to peel. So once it's done, and then for this high quality installation, you're looking at this much, right? No pauses, no nervous energy, no justifying the price, just confidence. That's all you really want there. A strong first impression is really going to set the stage too. So you want to make sure that that's strong, but to win the job, you really want to you make sure that you're presenting your pricing with confidence, right? So what's the right way to talk about price? If a client thinks that epoxy flooring is just a coating, if you're just another contractor, it's just another coating, there's no specialty about, but why, like that 100% solids word isn't going to magically make them understand, like so different about it. They're just going to hear epoxy. That's all they're hearing is just epoxy. And so in the long run, again, they're going to go with that cheaper option. If they're going to see it as an investment, something that adds value, durability, and aesthetics to their home, they will pay more. But your job is, again, to make sure that they're seeing that difference. Most contractors are going to say, hey, we charge more because we do better work. That's just not convincing, right? Like we charge more because our work is better and we use better products, we use better materials. And it's just not, again, just not convincing. The clients don't know what better even means unless you show them, unless you say, hey, we don't use cheap one-day epoxy that peels in a year. We use a commercial grade system with industrial strength adhesion. It's backed by a 10-year warranty because it actually lasts. You're never going to have to redo this. And if you do have to redo it, we're going to come back and do it for you, right? So now it's not just about price. It's about that long-term investment for these people, rather than, again, they're just saying, hey, we do better work. You got to tell them why it's better. And then whenever you're actually in the process of selling the services to them, or whenever you've given them the estimate, they're going to compare prices. They're going to compare prices because they don't know what makes one service different from another. If you get them on the call and you can answer all of those questions and really seal the deal for them, they're not going to go keep looking for more quotes, right? But instead of letting them assume that all epoxy is the same, you need to take control of the comparison. Let's say that the client's like, yeah, I got a quote for $2,000 less. Hey, like, out of curiosity, did they mention what type of epoxy that they're using? Some guys are using a DIY kit, that it's just not meant for long-term use. And we use an industrial grade materials. I need to take that out of here, but and these last for 10 years. So you're not paying to redo it in 2 or 3 years. And like I said, I know I re-drum through that, but I know you guys get that objection a lot. So I just want to really hammer that in, that you can talk about your services. Hey, we use industrial stuff, but the main point there is that they're not having to redo it. So then they're going to have to pay for it twice. If you could charge twice as much, right? And they'd get the same thing. They're going to end up in the same place because they're going to have you come out and do it again, right? So just give them a discount off of doing it twice and you're going to be winning. But you need to be able to speak to that. That's the main thing there, right? So if you get some price objections, I have a huge template sheet that you guys use. You guys should have it. This should be built into the system if you're my client. But if you're not working with me, just reach out to me and let me know and I can get you this. But one of the biggest mistakes that contractors are making with objections is that you either get too defensive, you get defensive right away, or you give up just way too fast. Instead of panicking when a client is pushing back, you need to understand what's really happening. Most objections, they're not about money. They're about uncertainty, like I talked about earlier, right? So when a client's saying, hey, I need to think about it, it's like, do you really think that they're going to go home and stare at the quote for 3 days? They're not thinking about it. They're hesitating. Here's what's actually going on. They're unsure if it's worth the price. This is perceived value. They're just not sure if the price of your quote is worth what the price is, essentially, right? So if they're also afraid of making the wrong decision, and this is just self-explanatory, and or they don't trust you yet. And people, like we just talked about, people only buy from who they know, like, and trust. So instead of saying, hey, okay, there's my quote, just let me know. I know you're going to be thinking about it. Just let me know. You need to take control of the conversation there, saying, hey, I get needing to think about this kind of decision. It's a really big one, but just so I can help, I'm here. That's what this is for. That's what this time is for, is to talk about what concerns you might have. Are you needing time to think about the price? Is it the design that I'm showing you? Or is it just making sure that this is the right decision for you? This is going to force them to tell you what's really holding them back. If you know that your work is top notch, the hesitation usually comes down to one or two things, right? They're either unsure about the price, or you didn't dig deep enough into the conversation to build trust and uncover what actually matters to them. The best contractors are not just selling floors and dropping prices. They sell confidence in the decision. So how do you actually sell confidence in the decision? You have to lead the conversation. You don't want to just take orders like we talked about. Instead of just sending a quote, ask them better questions. Ask what their biggest concern is. Ask why they're getting it done now. Ask what their vision is for their space. Ask what they're looking to do essentially at the end of the day. Because the more that they talk, the more invested that they're going to become. And then you also need to make sure that the price makes sense. If they're stuck on cost, it's because they don't understand the difference. Show them why your floors last longer. You need to show them why your prep work matters. They're doing a kit. They're not going to get proper prep work. So you want to talk that through and make sure that that's part of why your price is the price that it is. And then explain why cutting corners ends up costing them more in the long run. Price is a lot less of a factor when the value of your service is actually obvious to them. But again, the main thing is that you got to actually make sure you're speaking to all of this and pre-sell before you actually give the quote, right? By the time that they see your price, they should already feel like you're the best choice. That means really strong branding, really strong social proof, the reviews, the before and after photos on your website, on your social media, and an actual sales process that actually educates the client rather than just sends them an estimate. If you do these three things, price will ultimately become just a footnote, not the deciding factor for these people. And then one thing that you really need to consider on this is when should you push back on these customers and try to help them see the value, or when should you walk away from ultimately not your customer or a bad lead? Not every lead that you're getting is going to be worth chasing, right? Some of these clients that you guys are getting, they're never going to see the value in your work, no matter what you do, no matter what you say. And some of these red flags that scream that these people are a waste of time is that they keep pushing for a discount. They keep saying that they'll give you referrals after you've explained the value and why your stuff is so good. They say that they just need the cheapest option, which means that they'll complain about the quality later, right? Or they're just going to give you a bunch of problems. So if somebody's telling you, hey, I'm just looking for the cheapest option I can get, that's a red flag that you should look out for. Or another red flag that just screams a waste of time is that they're ghosting you after you've answered all of their questions. If you've answered a bunch of questions and then they just stop talking to you for a couple of days, you just need to be conscious of it. And potentially you need to step back. Even hearing this right now might blow your mind, but someone needs to tell you that some clients are just not your clients. But yeah, if you really want to push it, I understand if you're looking for the lowest price, but if that's what you're looking for, but we focus on quality. We're a luxury service. We focus on long-term results. If that's important to you, then we would love to work with you. If not, that's no problem, right? And whenever you say stuff like this, it does two things. It's going to put the decision back on them. Are they looking for quality and long-term results in the luxury service, or are they really looking for the cheapest option? And if they're just looking for the cheapest, that's not who you are, right? You're selling a luxury product, so they're looking for somebody else, and that's okay. You can go let them find those people, right? But yeah, it puts that decision on them, and then it reinforces that you're not going to compete on price. And then some of these guys, they'll actually come back and have you redo the floor once they realize that cheap wasn't really worth it. And other people, they won't, and that's fine. Everyone is your customer. That's what valuing yourself is all about. I just want to reinforce that. Not everyone is your customer. That's what valuing yourself as a business owner is all about. So yeah, like I said, I have a bunch of these objection handling frameworks that you can do for pre-selling, controlling the comparison with these cheaper quotes. But if you guys want that, you just can reach out to me and I will get you this training about how to actually handle some of those objections, how to position yourself as a high-end contractor rather than a budget contractor. This is actually a great point that we can touch on here, but like I've been talking about this time, you want to try to position yourself as a specialist, not as a generalist. You want to try to take control of your niche, whether that's metallic epoxy, whether that's commercial floors, or whether that's garage. This part, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that when clients see you as the go-to expert in a specific type of flooring, they're going to actually expect to pay more. If you're just like, yeah, I do epoxy flooring, they're not going to expect to pay that much money. But when you're like, I only do metallic epoxy flooring and my thing, they're going to expect that you're going to have a higher price tag associated with that, right? And then whenever to position yourself as that high-end contractor, outside of being that specialist and having your own niche and owning that niche and taking control of that niche. And like I said, you can do this even with garages. If you're installing garages, you can also be a specialist, take control of present yourself not as somebody that does quartz and all of this stuff unless you want to be that. That's what I'm saying. You just need to pick your niche and be like the go-to garage guy, the go-to metallic guy, or maybe you're just working in the commercial space and that's what you want to stay in and that's what you want to make your business as, right? But either way, whenever you're doing that, you do want to guide these people through your process. I don't want you guys to get that mixed up. Like the sales process is not all emotional pushings, just only questions. You do want to educate them a bit and help them understand why your quality matters. But a lot of the times you just need to be communicating that, is what I'm trying to say, is that you guys are just leaning on the products and not actually guiding them through your process, not actually speaking to the value, and then not presenting yourself as a pro. People judge their books by their cover. You guys can look at me. I look crazy. You guys probably think I'm crazy, but a company that has a polished brand, clean trucks, professional looking materials, they're a good website, lots of testimonials, lots of videos, lots of content. This is always going to win over a chuck in the truck operation, even with a higher price tag. It's always going to work out that way. So you need to make sure that your estimate is not just a price, man. You need to show up and not just tell them what's going on in physical examples, bring project photos or even videos of your past work. Let them see and feel your quality and what makes you different from the other quotes that they're getting, right? That's a big way for you to differentiate yourself there. And then instead of just quoting them a price, show them what's included, what makes it premium, why cutting corners will cost them later, like we've been talking about. And then the big thing, again, that we've been just been trying to drill in here is to make sure that you're asking smart questions. What matters the most to you? Is it durability, aesthetics, low maintenance, and then position your offer around their priorities. Make it about them, right? So that's one of those secrets in that sales process. Again, I think you might want to go and watch the closer framework if you're needing more help with that. But you let them leave. If they say that they need to think about it, you're starting to lose momentum in that sales. So most of the time it's that they're just stalling because they're unsure of something. So don't let them just walk away and be like, okay, no, ask them what it is that's bothering them, what's going on. Then a lot of the time where guys fall off is in the follow-up process. There's a way that you can follow up, and if you follow up properly, it will actually double your conversion rate. Most of you guys are losing sales after you send that estimate. Maybe you might be getting leads and they're not even answering you, but if you do send them an estimate, that's when you're actually losing them at that point, because you have bad work posted anywhere, not because you're not even because you are the most expensive, but because you're not following up with them, you're not showing them the value, you're not speaking to everything. A good estimate, even if you go and you do the best job at this estimate, if you don't stay top of mind, clients are going to forget about you. They're going to get distracted, or they're going to get distracted with life, or go with the contractor who did follow up with them. So I always suggest one of the main things that you guys can do, even more than really honing in on your sales process, is fixing your follow-up process first. And the nice thing with that is that you can automate it. So you can have, instead of being nervous about what you're going to say and how you're going to present yourself, you can actually just have the AI help you write it in a way that's super high value, super convincing, and just automate the sales process, automate the follow-up process. And when you do this, you'll actually just close more jobs without really even having to change anything else. A lot of you guys are losing sales because you're assuming that no response from the lead means that they're not interested in you. And just because a client hasn't responded, that doesn't mean that they're not interested. It usually means that, like I said, they got busy, they forgot, they're waiting for another quote to compare the different quotes, or they're unsure about something and they don't want to actually admit that with you. Instead of assuming that since they're not replying to you, that they've moved on, you can actually take control and give them a call, send them a quick text message. A simple follow-up can turn a cold lead into a paying customer right away. Maybe they just had one concern that if you follow up with them, you can actually get ahead of it and actually move them forward in the sales process, right? Maybe you're waiting too long to follow up with them. I always preach this a bunch. Speed. Money loves speed, and speed is going to win deals. The faster that you follow up with these leads, the better your chances are of closing. If they have objections, you want to get through that within a week. So that way there's not a chance for somebody else to get a hold of them and go through those objections before you get to, and then they're convinced to go with them, right? So the best contractors are following up within minutes, not hours. Why is that? Because one, it shows professionalism. It shows that they can trust you. People are going to like that as well. It shows that you act with urgency, that you're serious and take care, and you respect your own business. It keeps the momentum going while they're still interested. If you're replying to them as soon as they've reached out to you in some form, whether that's from the website, a phone call, they're going to be talking to you right away, but they send you a message on Facebook. If you respond to them within 5 minutes, it shows that you're gonna be able to keep that momentum going. They were just on your profile looking at your stuff and they reached out to you, so you want to connect with them right away. And then it prevents them, if you engage with them right away, it prevents them from waiting a couple of days, maybe a week, and then they're going to go back and look, oh yeah, I was looking at epoxy flooring, I should pull that up. And then they're looking at somebody else's profile. If you're waiting days to follow up, you're giving those competitors that they could end up going to look at, you're not just giving them a shot at your sale, you're actually giving them your sale, right? And another reason why you're losing a bunch of sales, like I talked about, is that you won't automate your follow-up. So you forget, or you get, it just gets insanely inconsistent for you to sit there and follow up with these leads constantly. You can't remember where they're at, what was going on, where they're at in the follow-up process. You're busy. So whenever you try to manually follow up with every single lead, it's sure you guys know it's not sustainable. The question is why are you trying to live like that in 2025? Like, you need to automate at the very least the first follow-up so that every lead at least gets a response, right? Just send a text message and an email right after the estimate. Wait about 4 hours, wait about 24 hours. Schedule a follow-up reminder with you in your calendar. If you have to, again, you can automate this, or your CRM should be tracking responses and helping you automate those next steps for you anyways. But we've laid out a solid strategy to close more high value jobs. So what's the final step? The final step would be fine tuning your process so it runs like a machine. Then scaling your sales process is where you really want to start at. And this is where it's going to take a lot of the stress off of your back. Getting all of these leads in is awesome, but closing those sales are even better, right? But if your sales process isn't scalable, you're just going to hit that ceiling fast. The next ceiling, first you need leads. Now you've got a bunch of leads. Then if your sales process isn't scalable and locked in, then you're going to hit that ceiling where you're just running through estimates, not able to get to all of the estimates, right? And so what you want to do is filter out at that point. But if you're still managing your leads manually, if you're chasing down calls, if you're forgetting to do follow-ups and you're losing track of different prospects, it's just costing you jobs. These people aren't going to tell you like took too long to follow up all the time, but that's probably what's happening if you're being honest with yourself, right? So you need to automate and streamline your sales process, track every single lead with the CRM just to make sure that none of these leads are actually slipping through the cracks. If you're not tracking your leads, you're losing money. It's as simple as that. A CRM is going to help keep all of your leads in one place so you can see who's interested, who's already gotten a quote, and who actually needs a follow-up. So that way you're not having to dig through your text messages, through all of these different notes, looking through your emails. Everything should be organized, automated as well, and running smoothly for you. But the main thing is that not every lead is worth your time. Like I said, you want to start trying to filter out the ones that are not worth your time and filter in the ones who are worth your time. And the way that you do that is by pre-qualifying leads. So that way you only talk to buyers that are interested in actually buying, not tire kickers. Like I said, not every lead is actually a good lead. Some of them are just shopping around. Others aren't ready to buy. Others are just never going to value you and never pay your prices in the first place. So wasting time on these guys just slows down your sales and clogs up your schedule, adds more stress to you, impacts your close rate, just keeps on wrecking through everything, right? So how do you actually filter out these leads up front? You can do this a bunch of different process. There's a bunch of different ways you can go about this. You can ask if when they're looking to get started this month, if they're just looking for ideas, you can ask them what their budget is. And if they're like, yeah, they have a budget, then they might be a little bit more serious. If they're unsure about their budget, they might not be that serious of a lead. And then other thing, this has happened to me before, but asking, are you the homeowner or are you just getting quotes for somebody else? I've had people reach out to my partners getting quotes for a homeowner like their assistant. And you don't want to be talking to those people either, because you're just going to talk to them and then you're going to have to talk to the homeowner, and the value of your service is not going to transfer to that homeowner if it's somebody else. So you want to fix that. That's for sure. But serious buyers, they're going to give you clear answers to these questions. If they're not ready and they're giving you weird questions about like just gathering ideas, oh, I'm not really sure about my budget, or yeah, gathering quotes for somebody else, don't really waste too much time chasing them. you can just filter them out and move on to better prospects. If they reach back out to you, good. But serious buyers, they do need follow-up. But manually tracking them, that's a waste of time for you. Okay. So what you want to do is automate it. You want to set up some instant responses. The second that a lead comes in, they want them to get an automated text message just confirming the request. Hey, thank you for the ad submission. And then if they don't respond to that, they get a reminder in 24 hours, 3 days, and in 7 days. And then in those reminders, you can always just send them a link saying, hey, I saw that you requested a quote through my Facebook ad. Here's a text for you, or here's a link for you to be able to schedule your own estimate. So that way you're not having to go back and forth about what times and what days, and just automate some of this stuff, guys. You try to get some of the things that you have to do off of your plate without having to hire somebody else and pay them to do it, right? So no more, stop chasing people, stop wasting a bunch of time, just focus on book jobs, good leads, automate your process, and everything starts to grow from there. Once you get more leads than you can handle and you've automated things, that's when it's time to stop selling everything by yourself. The first person that you should hire should be someone on your sales team, someone that can handle estimates, someone that can handle follow-ups, someone who knows how to explain your process and your pricing, and someone who understands how to close deals without discounting the deals or giving too much of a discount on the estimates, right? So how do you train these people really quick? You want to get them a script with proven responses, which we actually have built into our systems for you guys if you want that. Have them shadow you for a little bit. If you're trying to hire a salesperson, have them shadow you on a couple sales calls for a week or two, and then have them handle some of your warm leads, people that are kind of ready to book. Have them do, somebody's already submitted and gone through a process, but they maybe have a couple objections. Have them use some of those objection templates to get a feel for what the sales process looks like, what people are saying. Your goal should be, when you're hiring somebody, especially to do sales for you, which again should be your first hire, your goal is to just get them to about 80% as good as you are at closing jobs and sending out estimates. Get them to about 80%. So you can focus on running the rest of the business. As time goes on, you can get them to be perfect and improve their conversion rates, doing stuff like that. You can move on from there. But once you start getting more jobs, obviously that's going to mean more revenue. But if your operations can't really keep up, your quality is going to drop, and so is your reputation as a business. So how do you scale your business? Like I said, once you've got all these leads, you've automated everything, you've hired a salesperson, and now you're just running through jobs left and right. How do you scale your business without losing control and all of that? First thing I would say is to hire an installer. So that way, again, if you can do this before you're drowning in work, that's ideal. The first key hire should be someone who can take the installs off of your plate. Once you have somebody helping you with the sales and answering the calls and the estimates and stuff, make sure you get an installer. I see a lot of you guys grab an installer and you're still trying to handle the calls, but then you end up also being a project manager as well. So I would suggest you maybe look at your process, giving it a try. Again, you don't have to do what I'm telling you to do, but hire a salesperson, make them commission only, and then hire an installer. You can do that all in one sweep if you need to, especially if you do commission only. And then once you hire that installer, just go through and the process. All of your jobs should really follow the exact same process, the same installation process, and the same quality check system, the same system for quality. Every single job should be following that same system. And then you just want to make sure that you write all of that down, create SOPs, and write out what the prep should be, what the installation should be, and how the installer should be expected to check for quality. And if you have all of this written down, you're actually starting to move more towards like franchise model in your business, which is amazing for you, makes things super easy. And then when you hire people, you can hire on people easy and get them up and running super fast, which is going to be super nice for your business. And then another thing that you want to do to make sure that you're able to manage this higher volume of jobs without overextending yourself is just make sure that you're keeping your client communication tight. Customers should always know the project timelines, what to expect, when you'll be on site. And again, all of that, I also automate this for you guys as well. But if you're getting more leads than you can handle, another great thing that you can do is just raise your prices, so that way you can start filtering out people or make more money. It filters out low budget clients, and then, like I said, increases your margins. So what's next? If any of this stuff sounds like it's crazy, if it sounds confusing, if you want a second look at things, just reach out to me in the Facebook group and I can send you this actual training here. I'll send you this whole document and you can review it on your own. if anything, you can also schedule a one-on-one session with me. Free. I just will go through your process. We can talk about what your system looks like, where you're getting leads from, how you're handling your sales and hiring processes. And I can help you look at things, see what we can do to help you start closing more jobs without you having to chase all of these leads all the time. Like I said, if you need help figuring out what's holding you back, or if you need help dialing in your sales process, 1000%, I've got you. Just schedule that time and we can make it happen. But I'm sorry for the slow start to the presentation. The timing was a little bit messed up there, but yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. And next time, make sure you guys jump in the chat and do a little bit more conversation with me. I'd love to answer some questions. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.